What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today is definitely not a video that we were looking forward to making, but it's the video that we've got. So we woke up this morning and looked outside, and this is probably more snow than I've ever seen before. For where we are, this is a lot of snow. I'm sure some of you guys in Canada and all these other places get this type of thing all the time, but for us, this is extremely unusual. Now, obviously, we have the Hellcat in a carport, as well as a bunch of other stuff in a couple other carports. We already had a couple of them claps on us, so we're gonna go out there, try to get the snow knocked off of the important ones, and then see what we can do about clearing the snow up a little bit as it is. Now, we definitely don't have a machine or a truck big enough to clear our whole driveway and stuff, but we're gonna try to do the best that we can. Like I said, this is more snow than I've probably ever seen. So let's go ahead and get the garage door opened up here in a second and take a look at what we're working with. Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and open this door up. That makes it look like it's not all that much, but I plowed it last night when there was about 6 inches. This is a lot of snow for us. Cadillac's almost gone. So we're gonna go out here and try to start clearing those carports off. I definitely don't want the Hellcat one to collapse. And then this one has our 100-year-old lathe and some other stuff. Super windy out too, so we're just gonna see what we can do and go from there.
Get that. Shovel this whole driveway.
Oh yeah. So we shoveled a little, we're gonna measure it real quick. As you guys can see, that's like 18 inches. And keep in mind, I already plowed this when it was at 6 inches last night. I'm sure the camera is doing this absolutely zero justice, but what's that? 18 plus 6, 24 inches of snow. So 2 foot, that's a lot for us, guys. We are not prepared or equipped for this. So it is beautiful though, but that is a lot of snow. All right, let's go try to clear off a carport. Looks like some might have came off the carports already. That's a saving grace.
This one, the wind goes, and I think it does pretty good.
All right, guys, so what I usually do to clear off these carports is, if I can even get to it here, dig down to the zipper. You guys haven't seen this car on the channel in a long time. But I'll go in here with like a broom or something that's not gonna poke through, and we just push up on each section and try to get some of the snow knocked off. So that's exactly what I'm gonna go in there and do right now. As you guys can see, this stuff was a very wet, heavy snow, so it made it a real challenge to clear these things off, really clear anything off for that matter. And then there was a pretty decent wind all throughout the storm, continuing after the storm, so everything was just a challenge, wet and cold. So we got this one all cleared off, luckily. Now it's time to move on to the next one. But as you guys can see, between the carports is becoming a problem now. The snow is piled up almost as tall as the carports. So now we gotta clear this one off. I went ahead and got our little tractor fired up, but I don't think there's gonna be much it can do with this snow. But we'll try it. But let's go ahead and get this carport cleared off. GoPro, stop recording. Well, that one just came down, guys. Let's try to get the tractor out. So as you guys can see right off the bat, this thing was struggling, but there was a lot of snow. It was very wet and heavy, and honestly I was very impressed with this little tractor and how much snow it was actually able to push. This thing was definitely struggling, and we were definitely working the crap out of it, but it was getting the job done. Slowly but surely, we just had to keep taking little bites at it, but it definitely did better than I thought right out the gate. Alright guys, so we've been out here plowing, just chipping away at this thing. This machine is obviously too small for what we're trying to do. I wanted to touch on that real quick, but I also wanted to say that we just did our first live stream on the Bought to Build YouTube channel ever, and it did pretty good for our first ever live stream of us just pushing snow. I was on there answering some questions and just checking in with some of you guys and showing you what we've been dealing with here as far as the snowfall goes. So any of you that hopped on the live stream, super grateful, and I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. But if you guys didn't see the live stream, as you can see, we went ahead and cleared this. I did have a GoPro on the hood of the tractor going in time lapse, and I'll take some clips out of the live stream to throw in this video so you guys can see it, because this tractor is putting in work for what it is. We really need a snow blower, but of course we haven't had snow here in years. This little plow's been good, but while we've been plowing with the little tractor here, like I said on the live stream, I kind of covered what our setup is. I used to have a much bigger John Deere. It had a nice cab. I had heat in there. It was a hydraulic plow, wheel weights, the whole 9 yards. It was a really nice machine, but I bought it for $800. We had it for a few years, probably 3-4 years. We got one 1-inch snowstorm the whole time I owned it. So I decided to list it, and I sold it for $5 grand. So I can't really be mad. But now that we don't have that anymore, we got a big snowstorm. We actually got 2 this year. We got a foot, and now we've got 2 foot here. So we've just been trying to do it with this garden tractor. This thing does really good when it's like under probably 10 inches or so, and if it's fluffy, I've even done 12 inches or more, and it does decently okay. But once you get wet heavy snow like this and it just wants to pack, it just doesn't have the ability to push it. It's not heavy enough, and it has a safety in the rear end where it starts to cut power. Now, as you guys can see, we made a weight box for this thing. Me and Dylan did a little while back, and I'm glad we did. We did it before the last big snowstorm, and it's been a godsend, because without this thing, it would just spin the tires. So I went ahead, I've got some weights in there. I threw a bunch of spare chains I had laying around, and then we have some wheel weights from a different tractor that wouldn't bolt up to this one. I just bolted them to the box itself. So that's definitely helping keeping the wheel spin under control. It still tries to spin even though we have it aired way down. Now, these aren't the best tires for what we're trying to do. These are like a side-by-side style front tire, so not ideal for what we're trying to do here. Now, you guys might know better than me, but you see the tread on these, how they're V'd? Originally, I always thought that this V went forward, so this would contact the pavement first when you're going. But then someone told me that they actually go like this because it's supposed to scoop, so you get a better bite, which made perfect sense. So I actually have them on that way now. But if you guys think they go the other way, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure there's a reason for either way, so put it down in the comments if you know for sure which direction they would get more traction. But that's what we're running for tires. In the back, just some old stock side-by-side front tires that we got from someone for a good price. And then up in the front on all these garden tractors, I use a snowblower tire because they're aggressive. They work pretty decent, and they're so stiff that you don't really ever have to put air in them. Now, as far as the plow goes, it's just a little John Deere plow. I forget what size this one is. It's not very big. 46-inch blade. I had it for a John Deere, obviously, that I had. Got rid of that tractor when the rear end blew up, so we put it on this tractor, and it does decently well. This is just an old Craftsman Excellerator GT with a 26 horsepower Kohler on it. Now, we got this tractor in a deal for a couple tractors. I think it was like 50 bucks, and we picked this thing up. They thought the engine was blown up in it. We got it home, and it ended up being the starter broke because it must have like backfired or something, and broke the starter off. So we got it home, found out that's what it was, changed the starter, and knock on wood, it's ran like a top ever since. But it's just not perfectly ideal for what we're trying to do here, and we're asking way too much of this thing with 2 foot of wet heavy snow. Like, as you guys can see on my truck there, it's just a solid brick of snow. But now that we've been plowing with it for a while, I have been absolutely bashing snowbanks. Again, if you guys seen the live feed, I had some good views on there of me smoking snowbanks with this thing. And I think what happened is it's starting to bend or push that plow frame back. And what's happening is the steering, as you guys can see right in here, this is our tie rod end, and then this is the plow frame. And as you can see, it is really close right now. I already beat on it a little bit, but sometimes when I'm trying to push snow, it'll get caught right there, and I can't turn the wheel, so then I'm stuck going straight and only being able to turn right. So we're gonna have to do something to address that really quick. All right, guys, so I am skipping ahead here a little bit to the future, but we continued pushing all this heavy snow with this tractor, and it started to completely buckle our plow frame. As you guys know, it's not designed for this, and we are pushing this thing way harder than we should be. And those plow brackets are starting to bend under the tractor, limiting my steering and also causing the plow not to come up high enough. So we're going to fab something up here real quick to try to stiffen this thing up so we can put it right back to work pushing some snow. So my game plan right now is to go ahead and loosen up these two back bolts. I think I'm going to take that rear one all the way out for now, loosen this one up, and if I have to, I'll notch it more, try to bring that plow frame out and up, and then we're going to go ahead and fab something up, maybe some thick angle iron or some strap steel, and make it so that I can bolt it up here, weld it right here, and it'll help hold the plow from being able to tuck under. At least that's my hope. So that's the game plan right now. Like I said, we've got it jacked up. I'm gonna keep pulling this thing apart, and then hopefully we'll figure out a way to get it back in place so we can break the welder out and weld something up. Got that bolt out on both sides, so I'm gonna go up with the jack now and see if we can go more. Oh, we definitely can. We can go quite a bit more, actually. I'm almost wondering if we should just drill a new hole instead of trying to notch that much. All right, so as you guys can see, I've got this thing way up in the air. I did go ahead and use a center punch. We made a mark right there. I'm gonna start right there and see if we're close. I'm gonna let the plow down a little bit from where it's at when we're ready to bolt this thing up. But I think if we can get a bolt in there, we're gonna be doing really, really good. So let's go ahead and get a hole drilled and then go from there. Just in case you guys haven't seen these before, these are called center bits. They help you start a pilot hole off of your center punch, and it helps keep the hole truer. I'm gonna go ahead and use one just because I think it's gonna be easier here, and then we'll step up to our normal bits. But let's go ahead and drill this out and see if we're even close. I'll go ahead and put a little cutting fluid on this. Actually, not too bad. Hopefully if I let the plow down a tiny bit more, our bolt will go right in. Let's try it. All right, that's gonna work. All right, right there. So we just need to get a longer bolt, I think, and we'll be good to throw this one in and tighten it up. I found some hardware in our hardware bin that seems to fit pretty decent. It's actually a snug fit. I have to thread it into a non-threaded hole. Got a big washer for it, and I do have a nut for the backside. So we're gonna go ahead, try to get this in there and get it tightened down, and then we can go over to the other side and try to do the same thing. All right, we've got that one snug down now too. Now we can start seeing what we're gonna have to do to make a bracket. I want to make something from here to here, welded on the plow so it can't move here, and then the bolt just to hold the plow front up to help keep from bending any more of this stuff. So let's see what we're gonna have to do there. I'll come up with a plan and then we'll make it happen, guys. So as you guys see, we got those two bolts in that are gonna help keep the plow frame up higher, but now I wanna try to reinforce it a little bit to keep this from sagging or getting pushed back again. And the easiest way that I can see to do that right now is to just take something, bolt it up here, weld it solid down here to this, and that should in theory keep it from getting pushed back or bending down. So I went ahead and got our pieces of angle iron marked where we need to drill another hole. I'm gonna get that drilled, then we can set it on there and start tacking it in place. We've got the new piece that we just made sitting on here and mocked up. But something I didn't realize is that this is actually narrower than the frame of the tractor. So I don't really want to try to weld that gap or shim it or anything. So sadly, what I think we're going to do is bolt this one down tight, and then I'll drill holes in this piece here, and we'll do 2 bolts with some washers stacked up. It should still do the same thing we were trying to do. It just might not quite be as strong as our weld was. So we'll go ahead and get those holes drilled, and then we can finally get this thing all bolted back up and go try it. All right, let's go ahead and grab 2 big bolts and test fit real quick. All right, looks like we got a pretty good fit on that. We're gonna have to try to space this out with some washers and stuff after, but we'll worry about that when we get to that point. I'll try to use the washers to try to center this thing. We'll push it that way or this way, whichever way it's got to go a little. And now we can do the other side and then start bolting this thing up. All right, guys, so as you can see, I went ahead and got some spacers in there. We got everything bolted up. I ran through and tightened down all the bolts. I'm hoping that that's going to be enough support. The plow's definitely up higher than it was, but let's go ahead and lower the jack, see if it stays in place, which it should, and then we can set this thing back down on the ground and give it a try. The only thing I'm a little worried about still is steering. But, oh yeah, that plow is way higher up in the air. That's exactly what we needed, guys. Look how much higher that is. I couldn't fit my boot under there before. Now I have room to spare. So, absolutely awesome. Only thing we still need to check is make sure the plow goes down and hits the ground like it should. And it does. So let's go ahead, fire this thing up and give it a try. Now that we've got the tractor all fixed up, reinforced, and ready to plow, let's get my truck and our new Max Peating Rods bed cover all cleaned off so that we can pull this thing up and out of the way. We need as much room as we can get in this driveway, so we clear off the end of it like where my truck is. So let's get this thing fired up and moved out of our way. Holy crap, guys, it has been a long day of beating on this tractor. As you guys already know, we have a ton of vehicles to clean, which takes a lot of time, and then we have a ton of driveway to clean. For what it is, it's all small, intricate stuff, so even a plow truck you can't fit in half the places we need to clean around here. But this tractor got it done, and I'm honestly very surprised it held up. But we got a whole bunch of snow cleared. This is the most snow we've had in so long. Like, it's just everywhere. It's a lot of snow, but we cleared it up best we could. It's piles and piles and piles, and I didn't hear back from my buddy with the plow up by the end of the driveway, so I'm going to show you guys. We were able to get it with that tractor. I had to dog the crap out of it, but we were finally able to get it. Like I said, guys, this is This pile here is literally up past my shoulders, well, up to my chest, so it's just a lot of snow. But I'll take a look. As you guys can see, we were able to open it up. Took some time, as you can tell, because it's dark, but we did get it opened up. The only place I could go with it was across the street, sadly, so that's exactly what we did, but it worked. So got this whole section opened up here. Now we can at least get my trucks in and out. Cars probably won't be going anywhere for a little bit of time here, but at least we can get the trucks out now. So like I said, tons and tons and tons of snow. Alright guys, so as you've seen, this little tractor was working its absolute butt off this week. I did not think we were going to get that much snow, and this little machine had no business pushing even remotely close to that. So all in all, really impressed that the thing held up and was able to clear the entire driveway. Now we definitely worked it way harder than we should have, and as you guys seen, we ran into some issues along the way. But now we have that thing beefed up so that if we get any more surprise snowstorms, or if this thing is still around next season, it is beefed up and dialed in and ready to go. Now, like I said earlier in the video, this was not the video that we had planned for this week. I wanted to take the Turbo Civic out, have some fun with it, and make some rips, but the snow definitely hindered us there. So while we were down for the snow, I did take advantage of the time and run over to Larry's Auto Machine and drop off some more parts for the big block swapped Camaro that you guys can see right here behind me. So we have been moving along with that, and we are making some progress. So you guys will see a video on that coming up here very soon as well. But as always, I appreciate you guys for checking out the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and check us out on all of our other social media platforms. Facebook, TikTok, and Bought to Build Official on Instagram. And we will catch you on the next one.